I recently read this book about J Dilla's life and music called DILLA Time, written by Dan Charnas. I learned a lot about J Dilla reading this book. So if you are a Dilla fan, I recommend reading this book. I left an affiliated link below if you want to buy it on Amazon and at the same time support this channel. There was some major eye-opening things that came up in this book. I want to share a few of the Dilla myths that finally have been busted. Myth number 1. J Dilla produced Got Till It's Gone by Janet Jackson. He did not produce that song. That song is produced by Terry Lewis and Jimmy Jam. This myth is probably the only myth in this video that J Dilla himself helped fuel. So the song Got Till It's Gone was inspired by a J Dilla remix that the producers heard, and then they went in the studio and deliberately recreated that type of groove and that production style that J Dilla is known for. The confusion started with Q-Tip being a featured artist on the song at the same time that it sounds like a Dilla beat, so people assumed that it was a production done by The Umma, which was a production group that both Q-Tip and J Dilla was a part of at that time. J Dilla would help fuel this confusion by telling his friends that The Umma ghost produced this song and that Terry Lewis and Jimmy Jam bought the song from them. And on top of that, he said that there was a non-disclosure agreement so that no one from The Umma could tell the truth about it publicly. In 2009, Q-Tip denied that The Umma had anything to do with the production of that song, and also Dan Charnas could not find anyone that could contradict Terry Lewis's and Jimmy Jam's story about the production of that song. So J Dilla did not produce Got Till It's Gone. Myth number 2. J Dilla made donuts on his deathbed, and a myth inside of that myth is that he made it on the SP303 sampler. This is false according to this book. J Dilla made these beats after he was discharged from the hospital in early 2005, and he made these before he got worse and had to go back to the hospital where he eventually passed away. The second part of this myth is that J Dilla made donuts with the SP303 sampler, which would be crazy if he did. This is the SP505 from that same era of samplers, the big brother of the SP303. It is not possible to do what J Dilla did on donuts on this thing here, and most likely not on the 303 either, but it's got some really nice clicky buttons. The truth is that he made donuts on his laptop using Pro Tools in his house at home, not at the hospital, which is not as romantic as making donuts on his deathbed as sort of a last breath before he died. Unfortunately, creative processes are rarely romantic. I kind of want to make a beat in Pro Tools now. Myth number 3. J Dilla created his signature drum feel by turning off quantize on his MPC and playing the drums live. This is probably the biggest Dilla myth, but it's not true. Dilla was more of a drum programmer than a live player. Some of his rhythms is impossible, or at least really hard to play by playing the MPC pads live or playing a drum kit, because of the insane reaction time you would need to have to play that live, especially that consistently. After J Dilla moved on from the SP1200 to the MPC 3000, that's when he really found that signature J Dilla drum sound. And that was because on the MPC he could shift the timing of groups of notes or individual notes. Couldn't do that on the MPC 1200. So he would leave some elements like the hi-hats quantized, shift the snares early and the kicks late. On the SP1200 you could only add swing globally on all the tracks at once. The MPC allowed J Dilla to add swing to individual tracks, like only the kicks, and he could even apply different amounts of swing to different parts of the drums. This is some of the techniques that J Dilla used to find his signature drum feel. If you want to figure out why you don't need the MPC Key 61, you should watch this video next.